Welcome in, Edmonton Oilers fans, Rush Hockey Podcast fans. You already know who I am. And if you got a chance to watch that Edmonton Oilers game, wow, it was worth the price of admission. You had McDavid, you had Draisaitl, you had Bouchard, Stuart Skinner versus McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, and the newly acquired Mackenzie Blackwood out there in Colorado. And this game did not disappoint. I will tell you, as an Edmonton Oilers fan, I was a little nervous with how this game started, but how it finished was absolutely freaking perfect. Guys, the Oilers on the second game of a back-to-back, going from Minnesota all the way to Colorado, shifting through that time zone, having to come in and play a high-flying Colorado Avalanche team, and the leading scorer in Nathan MacKinnon was not going to be an easy task. Let's get into the scoring summary, and I'll explain why I was so nervous. So, just to start off, you can see the first period, the Colorado Avalanche came out flying. They scored within 5 minutes into the first period off a really kind of bad bounce for the Edmonton Oilers. The puck came off the end boards right to Logan O'Connor, and he goes in and he skates past Stuart Skinner and puts it into the net. Just when it got worse, Colorado kept on running around the Oilers in their own zone. Nathan MacKinnon comes in and scores his 16th of the season. And the one impressive goal that I will say was Nathan MacKinnon's second goal of the first period and of the evening was his undressing of Evan Bouchard. Skates in alone and gets it past Stuart Skinner. And just when I thought, okay, here's where it all breaks down. The Oilers are in tough. It's going to be a 3-0 start. It's tough for any team to come back. I mean, we just did it in Minnesota the night before. Coming back into Colorado and already down 3-0, we probably just got to mail it in at this point. But never count out those Edmonton Oilers, their skill power being led by Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But here's the best part. They weren't even factored in on the first goal. The first goal from the Edmonton Oilers came from Victor Arvidsson late in the first period with a minute left. Victor Arvidsson pots his 6th of the season from Nurse and Podkolzin. This is what the Oilers needed. The Oilers needed some sort of life being able to get into the second period. And you know what? It helped because in the second period, it was a completely different game. The first period, the Avalanche dominated the Edmonton Oilers. However, the second period was a different story. The Oilers came out and they controlled the pace of play. They were in the offensive zone a lot more than the Colorado Avalanche were in the Oilers zone, and the fourth line kept the Colorado Avalanche hemmed in their own zone for at least a minute and some change, leading to Brett Kulak throwing the puck on net 6 minutes into the period, scoring unassisted, and Corey Perry was standing in front of Blackwood, and he couldn't see where that puck went, and it went into the back of the net. After that, it was all the big boys showing up to play. Connor McDavid scores with 14 minutes into the second period. He gets his 20th from Draisaitl and Bouchard. This is Draisaitl just hammering the puck on the net. Draisaitl needs to shoot more, and it was worth it because that rebound came back to none other than Connor McDavid, who grabs it, puts it down to his stick, and lifts it over Mackenzie Blackwood to tie the game up 3-3. Now, this made for an exciting third period because these are arguably the two best teams in the Western Conference right now, other than, the Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights and I guess the Winnipeg Jets. But we're going into the third period, 3-3 tie, and it was everything it was meant to be. The Oilers came out, they continued their persistent dominance of a very good Colorado team. 13 minutes into the third period, Evan Bouchard scores from a beautiful feed from Connor McDavid behind the net and just fires on the net and picks his spot, top left corner, or top right corner, I should say, and gets the go-ahead goal. Now, it's 4-3. My history of the Edmonton Oilers, 1-goal lead, never, you're holding on to the edge of your seat, but the Oilers showed true defensive form this period, and like they've been doing all season. Stuart Skinner stood on his head and made the most monumental saves to keep the Oilers ahead. And you know what? The Oilers win that game, and I'm very happy with it because we needed that game. I didn't know if we were going to win it. It's a very tough schedule for the Oilers, but they ended up pulling out the victory. Just the overall look at the post game, the Oilers and the Avalanche generally had similar shots. Now, both these two teams, they do generate the most amount of scoring chances, and they are top in the league for doing so. The face-offs percentages, Colorado did have a slight edge. The power play for the Edmonton Oilers is what really kind of made me worried. 0 for 4 on the power play, but against a Colorado team, I feel like they should have at least potted 1 or 2 goals, but that's something that still needs to be worked on, and I get it. It's the second end of a back-to-back, and the legs must be tired, but the offense did come 5-on-5, which was really good. The PK wasn't worse, right? Power play was 0%. PK was stellar. They made sure that nothing got past Stuart Skinner. The Avalanche did out-hit the Oilers slightly. They did have a few more block shots, but they also did turn the puck over quite a bit. Mackenzie Blackwood ends with 27 shots against, 23 saves. Stuart Skinner on the winning side made 22 saves after 25 shots and 3 goals against. Overall, absolutely stellar game. I could not be upset with how the Oilers played. Like I said, I wasn't expecting it. But now, let's get over to the real nitty-gritty of it. The best parts of this game were, as an NHL fan, the pros were just this game. The amount of talent and skill in this game, whether you were new to hockey or you've been watching hockey for a long time, this was a fun, exciting game. As an NHL fan, regardless of the Oilers won or lost, this was a game that was really, really fun to watch. The amount of skill, the puck movement, the defensive ability, the shot quality was amazing. The pros, another pro for the Edmonton Oilers, I will say, is that ability to dig deep and dig themselves out of an early hole. The cons for this game was the same thing. It's going down early, second half of a back-to-back wasn't the best. Stuart Skinner didn't start, but he finished really well. So there weren't too many cons to this game. The pros, regardless of the outcome of this game, I really would have been happy. I'm excited that the Oilers won because you know what? I love the Oilers and they're my home team. So I'm glad that they stormed into Colorado, weathered that Avalanche. You see what I did there? And got away with the 2 points that they desperately need, which makes them tied for the lead in the Pacific Division. Okay, and now they're sitting 4th overall. And if the news doesn't get any better, at the time of this recording, the Edmonton Oilers have been in talks and have signed John Klingberg to a 1-year pro-rated contract for about $1 million with signing bonuses somewhere in the range of 300 to 350,000 K, which is interesting to see because the Oilers just added a very good offensive defenseman. Now, he's been out of the league for a little bit. He had to do some surgeries, so he's going to have to take some time to work his way back in, but I think he would be a perfect pairing with Darnell Nurse, allowing Darnell Nurse to continue doing what he's doing, getting the good defensive game out of him, adding now John Klingberg as a potential offensive defenseman behind Evan Bouchard or even Ty Emberson. For those of you who've been watching the Edmonton Oilers, Ty Emberson has been fantastic. He's been a fantastic addition coming over from that Cody Ceci trade. I'll tell you right now, I personally didn't know if he was going to be as good as advertised, but as a fan, I am shocked and surprised and thoroughly excited to see that Ty Emberson has been doing such a great job with the Edmonton Oilers. Now, where John Klingberg fits on the Edmonton Oilers, that ideally we'd like to see him at the second defensive pairing with Darnell Nurse. He could drop down to the third pairing, but time will determine where he goes. Now, with John Klingberg coming into the fold, I think it's important for the Oilers to also understand that there is some pieces that need to be added to this team in order to make a playoff push. Initially, I was thinking Trouba would be a very good addition to the Edmonton Oilers. I know it probably doesn't make sense financially. Make your comments. Let me know in the comments what you think. But I think Trouba would have been a great addition. He'd bring that physicality, that intensity. He's been a leader on a team before, and bringing him on a team like the Edmonton Oilers would surely make them a sound defensive and more aggressive team to play against. That was one addition that I was thinking would be a trade target. Now, I don't know if the Edmonton Oilers would have enough money or the resources to get a guy like Trouba, but he would be somebody that I would put on my trade list or a trade target. That's my opinion. I would like the Oilers to potentially get Trouba. Another player that I believe that the Oilers should have been going after or could potentially go after is somebody like Murphy from the Chicago Blackhawks or even Byram from the Buffalo Sabres. But more importantly, down the middle, I think the Oilers need a third or fourth line center. Noah Philp, no knock on him, great young player. I just don't think he's going to be viable when the playoffs come. And Adam Henrique, great player, but the third line center, it seems like he's getting a little bit slower. We kept him here. He did really good for us in the playoffs last year, getting us into Game 7, and I think him, Connor Brown, and Matthias Janmark are very, very good together. They're a solid line. Could potentially be a good, strong fourth line, but for that third line center, I initially was thinking Frederick from Boston, but since Boston has kind of turned it around, I don't know who the Oilers could go target to get in terms of a third line center. Maybe Foligno. Did I say that name correctly? I'm not quite sure, but I think the Oilers' important need is going to be down that third line center. Let me know in the chat who you guys think would be a good addition to that center position for the Edmonton Oilers. But guys, the Edmonton Oilers won, and I'm excited. They are tied for first in the division. I can sleep easily. The next game we have is against the Vancouver Canucks on Saturday. Tune in. We'll see what happens. Hopefully the Oilers can close out this road trip with another dub. They are now currently 7-1 in the month of January. Let's go, Oilers, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I will catch you guys on the next episode.